You've heard the names: Dahmer, Bundy, Gacy, the legends of horror. But behind the spotlight of infamy, there are darker shadows. Killers who slipped through history's cracks. Monsters whose stories are whispered, not taught. Today, we're pulling back that curtain. These are 10 brutal serial killers you've probably never heard about. But you'll never forget once you do. Music swells and cuts to black title card. Top 10 brutal serial killers no one has heard about. Number 10. Thierry Paulin, the Old Lady Killer. France, 045-140. Paris, mid-1980s. Elderly women found strangled, beaten, or suffocated, all in their own apartments. Police thought it was coincidence, until a pattern appeared. Thierry Paulin, a nightclub performer with a taste for violence, murdered at least 21 women. He'd rob them, party with their stolen money, then return to the nightlife like nothing happened. By the time police caught him, AIDS was already killing him faster than justice ever could. 9. Gerard Schaefer, the Killer Cop. 140-230, Florida, 1970s. A sheriff's deputy sworn to protect, who became a predator. Schaefer kidnapped teenage girls, tied them to trees, and performed unspeakable acts before killing them. He wrote about his crimes in sadistic fiction stories, bragging that they were based on truth. Convicted of 2 murders, but investigators suspect he killed dozens more. The devil doesn't always wear horns. Sometimes he wears a badge. 8. Ahmad Siraji, the Sorcerer Killer, 230-320, Indonesia, 1980s. A cattle breeder claiming to be a sorcerer. He told women he could grant them beauty and wealth through rituals that required them to be buried up to the waist and strangled with a wire. Siraji confessed to killing 42 women, believing their spirits would make him powerful. When police dug up his property, they found a field of corpses arranged in a perfect circle. Number 7. Jane Toppan, the Angel of Death, 324 South, Boston, 1890s. A nurse with a sick curiosity, she loved watching people die. Jane Toppan poisoned patients with morphine and atropine just to watch the moment life left their eyes. She confessed to killing at least 31 people, saying it gave her a sexual thrill. Her chilling quote still echoes, "My ambition was to have killed more people, helpless people, than any man or woman who ever lived." 6. Ronald Dominique, the Bayou Strangler, 450, Louisiana, 1990s. He lured men from bars and homeless shelters with promises of food, money, or company. Then he tied them up, raped and strangled them, dumping bodies in remote swampy areas. By the time police caught him, 23 men were dead. Dominique said he was tired of feeling lonely. Loneliness became lethal. 5. Bela Kiss, the Hungarian Vampire, 450-535, 1912, Budapest. Police opened metal drums in a backyard, expecting to find gasoline. Instead, they found bodies preserved in alcohol. Each woman had been strangled and drained of blood. The killer, Bela Kiss, vanished just before arrest. Sightings popped up across Europe, even after both World Wars, but he was never caught. Some say he melted into the fog of history, or something far worse. For 4, Sean Vincent Gillis, the Forgotten Monster, 535-620, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. While police hunted another serial killer, Derek Todd Lee, Gillis was killing too, unnoticed. He stalked women, mutilated them, and photographed his work. When police finally raided his home, they found computer folders filled with his victims' names and trophies of their lives. He bragged that he couldn't believe how easy it was. Sometimes monsters hide in the noise. Number 3. Pedro Rodrigues Filho, Pedrinho Matador, 627R, Brazil's most notorious anti-hero killer. At 14, he killed a corrupt deputy. At 18, he killed his father, in prison, and carved out his heart. Pedro claimed he killed over 70 people, most of them criminals, saying he was cleaning the streets. Some call him a vigilante, but the blood he spilled tells another story. 2. Karl Panzram, The Confession of Evil, 750, early 1900s America. Karl Panzram's life was a storm of hate. He burned churches, assaulted men, and murdered sailors, claiming at least 21 victims. In his handwritten confession, he said, "I hate the whole human race." When the hangman asked if he had last words, Panzram spat. "Hurry up, you Hoosier bastard. I could kill 10 men while you're fooling around." He wasn't insane, just empty. Jarber 1, The Cleveland Torso Murderer, America's Forgotten Nightmare, 750-910, Cleveland, 1930s. Bodies appeared in the poor district of Kingsbury Run, dismembered, decapitated, and drained of blood. The press called him the Mad Butcher. Elliot Ness, the legendary lawman who brought down Al Capone, led the manhunt. But even Ness couldn't stop the killings. 13 confirmed victims, 0 arrests. The killer vanished into history, leaving behind nothing but fear and questions. Outro, 9 to 10 Docker 10 Siror. Soft, eerie piano music. Narrator, they say evil is rare, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just quieter, patient, waiting in the corners we choose not to see. These killers didn't get movies, documentaries, or Netflix fame. But their crimes? They're every bit as real, and twice as terrifying. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unknown, hit that like button, subscribe for more true crime darkness, and remember, monsters aren't born under the bed. They walk beside us, unseen. Music fades out, screen cuts to black with text. Subscribe for more unseen true crime.